And we're back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tad Goodwin. This is the illustrious Greg Crawford. And this is the Friday Newsdump, although it's Saturday, July 13th, 2013.
We're on Green Mountain time here.
I got so busy yesterday that I couldn't get the script together in a decent time, so we postponed it.
Plus, we had like a smidgen of not rain. And Tad and Greg both had to go out and hay their lawns, as we say.
Plus the sink was leaking, and that's upstairs was leaking down here.
It's been raining in the Green Mountains for the past 2 months, every day practically.
And besides, life is way too short to waste time hurrying.
But what we're planning to do is every Friday night at 6 o'clock, we would like to start streaming this so that we could actually have maybe some call-ins, some live interviews, that kind of thing. But for right now, we're not streaming yet, and so we're pre-recording it. So we're doing it on Saturday. Thanks for joining us. Bolivia Monday summoned the ambassadors of France, Spain, and Portugal to explain why their countries blocked President Evo Morales' official jet en route to land on the Eurozone last week, amid orders to be searched if Edward Snowden was aboard.
Oh, it's an Edward Snowden thing.
Brazil called on the United States on Monday, asking it to explain why U.S. intelligence agencies have been monitoring millions of emails and phone calls of Brazilian citizens in their country.
So it's not just us, it's everyone.
Everybody, yeah.
And meanwhile, Edward Snowden is screwed.
Well,
he's the one that's kind of brought this to light. Anyway, sorry. We don't have to get into Edward Snowden just yet.
Why not? I think it's one of the most interesting stories in years, this story.
Me too.
By the way, who was the guy that leaked the Pentagon Papers?
Daniel Ellsberg.
Daniel Ellsberg. He's 100% behind him, saying he understands completely why Snowden left the country. He's getting so much criticism, and while I respect other people's rights to have their views on things, I totally disagree. I think Snowden, I don't know if I would call him a hero, but I guess I could call him a hero. I think he's very courageous to do what he did, and I think he really cares about people.
Well, the people that are all in a snit and a tizzy over the thing are perfectly entitled, as you say, to their own opinions, but they are not entitled to their own facts.
There you go, right, right. And you know, like the Obama administration supposedly came up with all these laws about protecting whistleblowers until the whistle got blown on them, right? And then they're like, then he's Bradley Manning, Edward Snowden.
But in each instance, they are exposing crimes, stuff these agencies or soldiers in the field broke laws, both U.S. and international laws. And in Bradley Manning's instance, it's astounding that they're going after him with their razor, Bible, and shotgun because of the fact that military law demands that when you see a crime being committed, you have to report it. Yeah. He would have been in trouble if he hadn't reported these crimes.
It's so disheartening.
But the thing is,
I think his trial is coming to an end, or it came to an end.
Well, who knows what's going on there? I mean, there's all kinds of information that they wouldn't let them use. I mean, it was basically a kangaroo court.
It was.
It was an obscenity, and
right. And who could blame Snowden for leaving the country after what happened to Manning?
Exactly.
And what Manning did was so clear cut, such a clear cut thing. Everybody in that position should do exactly what he did. If they would, we wouldn't have all these atrocities occurring.
It's so true.
An Iranian exile group claimed Thursday to have evidence of secret nuclear facilities located in tunnels beneath a mountain near the town of Damavand, Iran. I gotta say, this struck me as propaganda. I'd like to, if this is true, prove it.
Indeed. 6 women on Thursday climbed Western Europe's tallest skyscraper, the Shard, towering over Shell's headquarters in London to protest against Arctic drilling.
Russian immigration officials said today that they have not received an application from Edward Snowden. Oh gosh, this got broken up. The U.S. National Security Agency leaker who wants to get asylum from Russia.
Snowden came to Moscow's international airport on June 23rd from Hong Kong, apparently intending to board a flight to Cuba, but he did not get on that flight, and it is believed to have spent the last 3 weeks marooned in the airport's transit zone.
Oh, dear.
Yesterday, Snowden met with human rights activists at the airport and said he would seek Russian asylum, at least as a temporary measure before going to Venezuela, Bolivia, or Nicaragua, all of which have offered him asylum.
Except he can't get out to get there.
Well, yes.
Well, he has no passport now, right. So they might have to give him, some sort of special travel papers or something to get from one country to another. We'll see what happens. A freelance photographer working for National Geographic magazine has been arrested on a charge of misdemeanor criminal trespass in Garden City, Kansas.
George Steinmetz, a New Jersey-based aerial photographer, was taking pictures of a feedlot outside Garden City from a paraglider prior to his June 28th arrest with paraglider instructor Wei Zhang. They were held briefly at Finney County Jail, and each was released on $270 bond.
Kansas Agriculture Gag Order, the Farm Animal and Field Crop Research Facilities Protection Act, oh, that's a good one, babies, became the nation's first when it was signed into law in 1990.
The law bars individuals from entering and photographing an animal facility not open to the public.
Oh, wow. Because it's so awful what happens.
Well, they've made it a crime to report a crime.
That's kind of what it is.
Mickey Z would be all over this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Go to worldnewstrust.com and read what Mickey has to say about this kind of stuff.
Police in Sweden on Sunday fatally shot a knife-wielding man after he allegedly stabbed 3 people, killing an elderly woman.
A former Chinese railways minister Monday was given a suspended death sentence for corruption.
A French court on Monday cleared oil company Total SA, its chief executive, and more than a dozen defendants of corruption charges related to the United Nations Oil for Food program in Iraq. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy, is right.
Who are you kidding?
Oh, boy.
Francesco Schettino, former captain of the Costa Concordia cruise ship, went on trial in Italy Tuesday for manslaughter and abandoning ship during the disaster in January of 2012, I guess January of last year.
The District of Columbia lawmakers gave final approval on Wednesday to a bill requiring certain large retailers, are you listening, Walmart? to pay their employees a 50% premium over the city's minimum wage. Walmart has warned that the law would jeopardize their plans for 3 new stores in the city.
Oh, poor babies.
Scumbag.
Can't have 3 more horrible, disgusting stores. Robin and I went to Walmart in Vegas the other day, and I just got to say that it is the most depressing, disgusting, awful collection of things that you ever want to see. And sure, the stuff is cheap, but I kept thinking 600 people died in Bangladesh for this cheap T-shirt.
Right.
Right.
And how many businesses were driven, into bankruptcy by Walmart showing up in Rutland in the first place? I mean, the Walmart representatives have, stated on the record in court documents saying, well, we would drive down the street and we'd say, okay, that hardware store gone, that sporting goods store gone. Clothing, all of those clothing stores gone. Everybody is going to be out of business, and all of their people are going to be on the street when we come to town. Ha ha ha! Isn't that fun? I
personally know of many garment manufacturers that were put out of business by Walmart. They'd be given these unbelievable orders, units that you could never imagine at a price that could never be realized.
It cost them more to produce. Yeah.
Right. So you'd put in 50,000, 500,000 units. And you'd be maybe 2 days late, 3 days late in the order, and they just cancel the order on you. They wouldn't work with their suppliers at all. And I know many people that got put out of business.
They tried to put Rubbermaid out of business by basically demanding that they produce or sell them stuff for less money than it cost to make it.
Walmart is bad people.
When Rubbermaid said, stick it where the sun don't shine, they went to Sterilite, which is this little itty-bitty company in Massachusetts, which is now much larger because of the fact that they've got Rubbermaid's old contract to manufacture stuff for them. But
as a wholesaler, you can sell your soul to the devil or not. That's all I got to say.
But a pox on Walmart and all their...
Absolutely, don't go there. Oops.
Now, Greg, how would you say this guy's name? Is it Zokhar?
It's Zokhar Tsarnaev.
Oh,
Tsarnaev.
Boston Marathon bombing suspect
Zokhar Tsarnaev.
Wednesday made his first appearance in U.S. court since his arrest April 19th.
Zokhar pleaded not guilty to 30 counts, including using a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
It's hard to say what the truth is there, but they said that the guy was in court and like rubbing his jaw, like trying to put it back in place because it had been dislocated and was in a cast. And according to his family and friends, they're like, we cannot imagine that this ever could have happened from him.
Well, notice he pleaded not guilty.
I
He
know.
didn't cop a plea. So there's something highly funky about all that. Didn't add up. Like so many of these events.
I know. I know.
But his brother did shoot at the police, and got himself killed. But
quick to rush to judgment on the guy, though. Like, apparently there was, just throngs and throngs of people outside, like wanting to get into the courtroom just so they could spit on him, or But
before he
until
lawyered
proven
up, he
guilty.
also told them, yeah, we did it.
Yeah, I'm conflicted here. I really am conflicted.
Well, what about that? Wasn't there someone that was friends with them that was being interrogated by the FBI in his own house, and at the end of like 6 hours of interrogation,
they killed him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For no apparent reason. They said they were attacked by a broomstick or something like that. There's, when you start adding all these things up, it's really funky.
You gotta wonder, and you can't trust those people any further than you can throw your truck.
Well, unfortunately, the lower house of the Irish Parliament Thursday passed the Protection of Life During Pregnancy bill, legalizing abortion when a woman's life is at risk. The upper house approved the measure today.
Authorities in Indonesia are searching for 70 prison inmates who escaped from a prison in North Sumatra province after a prison riot last night. 12 of the escapees were convicted of terrorism-related offenses.
Journalist Barrett Brown spent his 300th day behind bars this week on a range of charges filed after he used information obtained by the hacker group Anonymous to report on the operations of private intelligence firms.
Brown faces 17 charges ranging from threatening an FBI agent. Now this is interesting. They don't elaborate on this, but the thing that was that he was, they raided his apartment and found absolutely nothing incriminating whatsoever. So what they did was harass his mother for a year, to the point where the woman was driven to distraction, and Brown just lost it and said, all right, I'm going to expose this FBI agent that is responsible for harassing my mother, even though they have found zero evidence of any wrongdoing on my part, and certainly not on my mother's part. That is what they're talking about when they talk about him threatening an FBI agent. And credit card fraud, I don't know about that, but the FBI agent is a piece of shit.
Boy, are we going to get our email hacked now.
Well, I don't know if you finished your line here.
Oh, right. Well, the credit card fraud posting a link online to a document that contains stolen credit card data. But according to his supporters, Brown is being unfairly targeted for daring to investigate the highly secretive world of private intelligence and military contractors. So there.
Don't mess with the military-industrial complex.
No, they'll squash it like a bug.
Using information Anonymous took from the firm H.B. Gary Federal, Brown helped discover a secret plan to tarnish the reputations of WikiLeaks and journalist Glenn Greenwald of The Guardian. Brown similarly analyzed and wrote about the millions of internal company emails from Stratford Global Intelligence that were leaked in 2011. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, this was a company that was also involved in the concerted oppression of the Occupy movement.
Oh, yeah.
And the government was claiming that there was no, the U.S. government, that there was no effort to try to suppress that movement.
Which is a bald-faced lie.
Absolutely. It was right out of the White House.
And an interesting thing is he's facing more time than the guy who actually did the hacking.
Of course.
All he did was use the information that was acquired to write an article. He's facing, like 100 and some odd years, possibly, and the hacker is going to get 10, if they find him. I hope they don't. U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano today announced her resignation to become the president of University of California.
Out of the frying pan into the fire. You know, isn't like the University of California system like really in a mess? From what I understand, it's like...
Maybe that's why they hired her, because they figure she can straighten it out. We'll see what happens, huh?
And now here we get back to that building collapse in New York City. The New York City Fire Department says a woman attempting to deploy nearly 24 so-called bug bombs inside her small Chinatown apartment caused a partial collapse of the 5-story building where the apartment is located, injuring 14 people, including herself.
Fire marshals said the woman told them she set off 20 bug bombs, also known as foggers, without incident on Wednesday inside her Chinatown apartment.
20! Oh my God, 20. Imagine how bad the roaches must have been.
Well, how everybody was poisoned. But oof. As she said about repeating that exercise Thursday, the highly flammable cloud of insecticide was ignited, likely by the pilot light in her oven or some other kitchen appliance.
Ew.
The fiery blast caused a partial collapse of some of the ceilings and walls on the first floor of the building, which contained businesses as well as other apartments.
The woman with the bug infestation was among the 14 people who suffered injuries such as burns, smoke inhalation, and respiratory distress.
Fire officials ruled the explosion an accident.
Oh, my.
And on that note, thank you for joining us. This has been the World News Trust Friday News Dump for actually Saturday, July 13th, 2013. This is Gregory Crawford. I'm Francis Goodwin. See you next Friday night.
Bye.
And that's